afternoon. In today's video, I'm going to address some other Hindu, Indian practices, Buddhism, all over the Far East, as we refer to it here in America. I would like to share a little bit that my experience was that I would have things happen to me and then later I would find out what was actually occurring. And so I did not know the mudras and the kriyas and all of these practices of yoga and part in awakening Kundalini. Some of them I did without knowing. I was guided by God, but I did not know the terminology. Like I've said in another video, I didn't read the book Raha Yoga. I just started doing the breathing technique. So I had no idea that I was actually awakening Kundalini way back in 2009 when I did it. So after I had awakened Kundalini, even though I was familiar with some of the spiritual terms, I had no idea the true definitions or any of the practices. So mudras are hand gestures. They are also referred to as seals. And I have used none of them in my process. The internet seems to be prolific with different practitioners using hand seals, hand gestures, in order to stimulate energy flow throughout the body. As it relates to Christianity and some of the ancient art, I noticed that they had, like the Jesus blessing, the Jesus hand sign is kind of a loose prana mudra. It's not a well-defined mudra, but it's kind of loose. And Mary, the praying hands would be the Anjali, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, Anjani mudra. And the hand sign of John makes a hand sign. It's kind of like the okay sign in America, like everything's okay, but his is kind of closed. And so that would be very similar to the Gyan mudra. And so these symbols and hand signs, gestures have been spread throughout different religions and spiritual practices. Like I said, I have used none of them in my Kundalini awakening process. But if it works for you, feel free to do it. There's also the power of the mind over the body. So if you, like I do, visualizations of rising Kundalini up through the chakra tree, if you do a mudra and you visualize its healing energy, then I'm sure it will have a very positive effect on your health and well-being. So I just wanted to address that because it's come up several times with people in dialogue, and I've never used any of them. One of the very important things that I keep coming across when I think about the Hindu practices, the Indian practices of Kundalini and spirituality, and then I kind of compare it to the Western practices of more organized religion, and I find that specifically Christianity and the praying, they have all of these prayers, and I mentioned in another video I would not learn prayers when I was a child, and it's because when you're praying, you can talk to God however you want to talk to God. And if praying, I know it's also a very Buddhist practice, having prayer beads. I had a friend in college who was Buddhist, and that's good to a certain extent, but if you don't meditate and quiet the mind, then God can't get in there to guide you. You know, you're always chattering. Your mouth is chattering, your brain is chattering, and you really need to learn to quiet and get to the state of no mind. Mine happens very, very quickly. I know it takes some people a very long time to do it, but it is so worth it when you get to that state and you see those swirling colors and shapes and designs, and your whole body just starts to relax and it opens to the energies of God. So I encourage that practice. Praying, you can pray if that makes you feel good, but you also need to take time to listen. You need to be quiet and let your body and your mind and your spirit listen to the energies of the earth, and God will talk to you. So the other thing I wanted to address in this video is the Kriyas. It's another Eastern practice, and it is a practice of purification. And I had to look up on the internet how to pronounce it. Although I did not know what they were until recently, I have had the purifications happen to me. So like I can be laying in bed and I will suddenly have my abs, like my stomach like sucked in, and I'm kind of crunched together, but it like sucks in my intestines, which would be very similar to your intestinal cleanse, and it stimulates the colon to be active, and if there's any blockages, it clears it out. That happens to me, and I didn't even know that there was a name for it. Likewise, the cleaning of the nostrils, which I have recently mentioned under personal health. Whether you clean out your nose by blowing, it's okay to do that, but you really need to rinse out the nasal cavity. And so using all those chemicals and stuff, I always caution against foreign things in your body. You can do it in the shower, just, you know, blow your nose in the shower and it rinses off in your soapy water. And then the steam can penetrate up into your nasal cavity. I also recommend peppermint oil. You can put it on the outside of your nose very, very lightly, or otherwise it'll burn, and that will help clear the nasal passages. On occasion, I've even sucked on like a peppermint, like lifesaver, like a little peppermint candy, and that will also clear out the nasal passages. And also rubbing peppermint oil in the bottom of your big toe, and then wearing socks, cotton socks for the day. Because all of our nerve endings is somehow 200,000 of them in each foot connect to other parts of our body. It's the toes that connect to your head, and that will help clear your sinuses. So the Kriyas are definitely, I wouldn't necessarily induce vomiting for the upper abdominal cleansing, but if that's what you want to do, be careful. You don't do that too often. You don't want the acids in your stomach coming up into your throat and mouth very frequently, but if it's for a very infrequent cleansing and you choose to do that, that's your free will to do. And other Kriyas are the eyes. Gosh, what is it? Oh, you can stimulate, I think there's kind of a breathing technique that they say you can do to stimulate brain cellular purification, stimulating your brain cells and kind of purging ones that are no longer in use. I would just, go with what feels right for you. I've really only used 2 or 3 of them, and and that was after awakening Kundalini. there's so much stuff in the air, pollutants and all kinds of things. I would definitely look into maintaining your personal health in the way you feel best doing it. So you don't have to do all of those activities. You don't have to, do all of the cleanses every single day. But if you notice that your nasal cavity is kind of plugged up, you do need to clear that out. With Kundalini, breathing through the nose is primary. It's like close your mouth and breathe through your nose. What is it about that olfactor that connects to our entire being so profoundly? I don't know, but God made it that way for a reason. So anyway, if you are interested in the Kriyas and Mudras and practicing any of those, there's lots of websites. They're pretty basic. And I found, in doing just a quick little review, I found many of them seem pretty straightforward. And like I said, it's the power of the mind over the body, really. If you convince yourself that this is going to make you meditate with a clear mind, then do it. As you can see, I just sit with my hands open in front of me, and that's how I always meditated before and how I am now. So anyway, hope you have a super day, and I hope this video helps give you a little more information about awakening Kundalini. And if you want to take the time and learn mudras and do the purifications of the Kriyas, that's a personal choice, but it is not a prerequisite for awakening Kundalini. Thank you.